I'm Jessica Weifel, and I would like to welcome you to the instructional video for week 1 of the Scheepjes Festival of Lights Crochet Along. In this video, we will be working the triangle motif. The written pattern can be found on the Scheepjes website. A link will be in the description. If you haven't already, I recommend watching the introductory video. It covers materials, some tricks for staying organized, and a little bit about my inspiration when designing this blanket. In this video, I will be using UK crochet terms. I will link the video with US terms in the description. Round 1. We're going to begin by taking yarn A and wrapping it around 2 fingers to form a magic ring. Insert your hook into the ring and yarn over hook. Pull a loop through. Then you're going to chain 1. Now we're going to make a beginning treble crochet by making a double crochet and then chaining 1. Then chain 2 to make the corner and make 3 more treble crochet into the magic ring. That's 1, 2, and 3. Double treble crochet and chain 3. Now we're going to make the side corner of the triangle by working into the back bump of the 3rd chain from the hook. This is the front and back loops of the chain, and this is the back bump. So insert your hook right in here, and then work 1 double crochet. Then make a 2nd double crochet into the same loop. This forms your side corner. There's a tiny little 2-chain corner space here that can be a little hard to find in future rounds. If you'd like, you can mark it with a stitch marker or a scrap piece of yarn. This will help you in the future when you're trying to make stitches into that corner space. To continue along the bottom side, we will make 1 more treble crochet, 3 more double crochet, 1, 2, 3, and 1 more treble crochet. I'm going to begin the next side corner by chaining 4. Then I'll show you a trick for marking this corner a little easier. I'm going to place the stitch marker around my chain before I actually make the next stitch and just hold it up close to my hook. Now we're going to make a double crochet 2 together, working in the back bumps over the 3rd and 4th chain from the hook. We'll start by inserting our hook into the 3rd chain from the hook in the back bump. Then we're going to yarn around hook, pull up a loop, then insert our hook into the back bump of the 4th chain from the hook, yarn around hook, and pull up another loop. Then yarn around hook and pull it through all 3 loops on the hook. To finish up the last side, we're going to make a double treble crochet, let me try that again. A double treble crochet, and then 2 more treble crochets. 1 and 2. Finally, we're going to tighten up the magic ring by giving that starting tail a gentle pull until the circle closes all the way. Be careful not to pull too hard, especially if you have frogged this round a few times, as the yarn can break. Then I like to give my sharp corners a little bit of a tug. That helps form the shape. You can pull on your stitch markers. Before fastening off, this is a good time to double check the stitch count. There should be 5 double crochets, 8 treble crochets, 2 double treble crochets, 1 double crochet 2 together, and 3 corner 2 chain spaces. Now, if you have the Organicon kit, I'll show you a way to carry the yarn between rounds at the end of the video. Otherwise, you'll want to begin your needle join by cutting the yarn, leaving a nice long tail so that you can weave in the yarn later. Then we're going to gently lift that loop until the end emerges from the stitch. Pop. And then thread it onto a tapestry needle. Skip the next stitch, which is your beginning stitch in this case, and insert the needle from front to back under both loops of the following stitch. In this case, it's the first chain of our 2 chain space. Draw the yarn through. Insert the needle down through the stitch where the tail emerged and under the back bump through to reverse. Then pull the yarn until you make a false stitch identical in size on top. The tapestry needle is already on our finishing tail. So we're going to go ahead and sew in that end right now. I'm going to bring it down through the back, through the center a tiny bit, and then up back through to the top of the round. Then I will tack it in a few places through the back bumps of the stitches along the top. You can tack it here in just a couple of stitches or all of them. The main idea is that we are going to be crocheting over this in the next round. You can even just hold it there if you prefer. I usually forget to work over my ends if I do that, so I recommend tacking it in at least one place so that you remember to work over it. For the starting tail, I'm going to spin it around the center a few times. This will reinforce our magic ring a little bit and make our center more secure. Whatever's left over once you've gone around the middle a few times, you can either bring up to the outside and weave it in around the back bumps in the same manner, or you can just weave it in at the very end of the motif. Round 2. Round 2 begins with a standing half treble crochet. To make a standing stitch, we're going to place a slip knot on the hook and then work our half treble crochet as normal. Or you can use my alternative method. I like to just wrap the yarn around the hook without making a slip knot. I do this whenever I end a round with a needle join because it allows me to remove the top portion of the stitch during the needle join. Now that we have our first loop around the hook, we're going to make a normal half treble crochet into the top corner of the triangle. Now we will chain 2 to form the corner, and then make 2 more half treble crochets into the same corner. Then we're going to make half treble crochets in each stitch along the side. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. This fifth one actually goes in the same stitch that we made our 2 double crochets into before, the same chain rather. Then in our first side corner, we're going to make 2 half treble crochets. That's 1. Having a little trouble with that one. And 2. Then we will chain 3 to begin forming the side corner. I'm going to move my stitch marker up now and place it around my chain. That way my corner space is already marked when I form it. In the back bump of the third chain from the hook, we're going to make 1 double crochet. Now we have that corner formed. And then we will make 2 more half treble crochets. Into the same corner space. Along the bottom, we will be making 9 half treble crochets. That will be 1 in each stitch along the side. This next side corner is exactly the same as the previous one. We're going to make 2 half treble crochets into the corner. Then chain 3. Then I'm going to move up my stitch marker and place it around my chain. And we'll make 1 double crochet into the back bump of the third chain from the hook. Back bump is right here. Then we'll make 2 more half treble crochets into that corner space. And then make half treble crochets all along the remaining side. When we get back up to the top corner, we have to make 1 more half treble crochet into that corner space. This is the one that I tend to forget if I'm going to make a mistake on this round. Before cutting your yarn, check your stitch count. You should have 2 double crochets, 31 half treble crochets, and 3 corner 2 chain spaces. Once again, to needle join, you're going to cut your yarn, leaving a long enough tail to weave in the end of later. Then you will lift the loop on your hook until the yarn end emerges from the stitch. Pop. And you place the tail onto a tapestry needle. Skip the next stitch and insert the needle front to back under both loops of the following stitch. In this case, it's a chain. Now, if you did not place a slip knot on your hook when making your starting or standing stitch, You can gently remove the top portion of the stitch with your needle because we're going to be replacing it, or we are replacing it right now. Now reinsert your needle from where the yarn emerged from and back under the back bump as well. And for the half treble crochet, it'll also go under that third loop in the back. Now pull the yarn until it makes a false stitch that is equal in size. In the back, we can crisscross our yarns. And again, since our end is already on our needle, I'm going to weave this through a couple of stitches in the back loop only so that I can crochet over it on the next round. You can pull your corners to shape, and that is round 2 completed. Round 3. Round 3 is very similar to round 2. We're going to begin with a standing half treble crochet in the top corner. Chain 2 to form the top corner space. Then make 2 more half treble crochets into that top corner. Then we're going to skip the first stitch of the side. That stitch is often hidden. Then make 9 half treble crochets all along the side. When we get to the next corner, make 2 half treble crochets into the corner space. Chain 3. If you'd like, you can move your stitch marker up now if you're using one. Make a double crochet in the back bump of the third chain from the hook. Then make 2 more half treble crochets into the side corner space. Once again, skip the first stitch of the side and then make 14 half treble crochets along the bottom side. Then we will repeat the same thing in the other side corner and make another 9 half treble crochet along the final side. When we get back up to the top corner, don't forget that very last half treble crochet in the same top corner space. Before fastening off, double check your stitch count. You should have 2 double crochets, 44 half treble crochets, and 3 corner 2 chain spaces. Once again to needle join, cut the yarn, leaving a good tail for weaving in the ends. Lift the loop until the end emerges from the stitch. Pop. Then thread the end onto a tapestry needle. Skip the first stitch and insert the needle front to back under both loops through the following stitch. If you did not make a slip knot on your standing stitch, you may remove the top portion of the stitch by gently lifting it. Reinsert your tapestry needle through where your yarn emerges and under both of the back bumps. Pull the yarn through and adjust to make a stitch of equal size. In the back, we can crisscross these ends and then take a minute to sew them or weave them along the top through the back loops so that you can crochet over them in the next round. Give your corners a little tug, and round 3 is completed. Round 4. Round 4 again is similar to round 2. We're going to start with a standing half treble crochet in the top corner. Chain 2 and make 2 more half treble crochets in the same corner. This time, don't skip the first stitch and make half treble crochets all along the side until you get to the side corner. In the side corner, make 2 half treble crochets, chain 3, I'm going to move my stitch marker up now and place it around my chain. Make 1 double crochet in the back bump of the third chain from the hook, and make 2 more half double crochets in the same corner space. Once again, do not skip the first stitch and make half treble crochets all along the bottom side. You're going to repeat this in the next side corner and then make half treble crochets all along the other side until you return to the beginning of the round. Once you're back up at the beginning, don't forget that last half treble crochet in the top corner space. Before fastening off, check the stitch count. There should be 2 double crochets, 60 half treble crochets, and 3 corners with 2 chain spaces. And for the last time, we're going to needle join by cutting our yarn, leaving a nice tail for weaving in the ends later. Lift the loop on the hook until it emerges from the stitch. Pop. And thread that tail onto a tapestry needle. Skip the first stitch and insert the needle from front to back through the following stitch under both loops. It'll be a chain again. If you did not make a slip stitch on your standing stitch, you can gently lift and remove the top portion of that stitch with your needle. Then reinsert your needle back from where the yarn emerged and through both back loops behind. Pull the yarn through and adjust until you have a false stitch identical in size. Once again, we can cross over the yarn in the back. Since this is our last round, we won't be able to crochet over the ends. I recommend weaving the ends in at the bottom of the round. For the Organicon version of the blanket, all triangles alternate between two colors. If preferred, the colors may be carried between rounds instead of cutting and fastening off each round. This will reduce the number of ends per motif from 8 to 4. Complete round 1 as written. Instead of fastening off, insert your hook into the beginning stitch to start a slip stitch. Drop yarn A to the back and pick up yarn B. Complete the slip stitch with yarn B, pulling up a loop a little longer than normal as we'll be crocheting over this at the end of the round. Chain 1. Move yarn A to the front of your motif to work over it. And make 1 half treble crochet into the top corner space, working over yarn A. Drop yarn A to the back of the motif and don't work any more stitches over that yarn. Complete round 2 as written up to fastening off. If you'd like, take a moment here to sew in your starting tail around the middle a few times and then tack it along the back loops of round 1 so that you can crochet over it during this round. When we get to the end of round 2, we'll be working our last stitch over the long chain that we made at the beginning of the round. Repeat the steps from the end of round 1 to switch yarn for round 3. Yarn A will now become yarn C. When you've completed your one chain, if you'd like, you can take a moment to sew in the starting tail of yarn B so that you can crochet over it this round. When we get to the end of round 3, we will use the same steps to switch from yarn C back to yarn B, which was now yarn D. However, we are now finished with yarn A or yarn C, so we can work over that yarn for the remainder of the round. If you'd like, you may cut it and weave in the ends along the back loop. This way, when we get to the very end of the motif, we will only have one end to deal with. When we get to the end of round 4, we will cut the yarn and complete a needle join as written. This is the final result. From the front, you can't really tell where the yarn was carried at all. From the back, you might see these tiny little bits of color where we have carried the yarn, but overall they're not particularly noticeable. So that is the alternate way to complete the triangle motif if you are alternating colors. If you would like to test gauge in a single color or are making up your own colorway and would like to make the motifs in a single color, you can follow these instructions without switching yarn. For this project, we will not be making a specific gauge swatch. Instead, the measurements for each motif will be provided. The triangle motif, when completed, before blocking, should measure 10.5 to 11 centimeters along the bottom side and 6.5 centimeters from the top corner to the center of the bottom side. I tend to pull on the pointy corners when I am making my triangles. This makes my point-to-point measurements a bit larger. If your point-to-point measurements are also larger, don't worry about it too much. Focus more on the top corner to bottom center measurement. As long as this measurement is close, you're probably on the right track. If you are concerned about yarn usage, weighing your motifs may be reassuring. My triangle motifs average 2.7 grams in Metropolis and 2.9 grams in Organicon. The Metropolis kit has about a 15% buffer of extra yarn, and the Organicon kit has plenty of extra yarn. So for your Metropolis kit, if you are under 3.1 grams for your triangle, you will have plenty of yarn. In the Organicon, I wouldn't worry about it. There's lots of extras. I talk more about gauge on my blog, but in general, find a hook that gives you results that are close enough, aim for consistency, and try not to stress about it too much. Small variations shouldn't cause much of a problem, and blocking will help even out inconsistencies. Thank you so much for joining me on this crochet along. I look forward to seeing all your progress. Please be sure to share in the Scheepjes Facebook group or on Instagram with the hashtag Festival of Lights Cal. And if you have made it this far, I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe to my YouTube channel. I would like to reach 1,000 subscribers so that I might benefit a small bit from any ads you had to watch during this video.